Greetings, fellow Gilgameshi. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Sumerians, Episode 2, Earthen Walls. So once we have a pretty steady supply of wheat, and we don't have these sort of famines, we can start to address the demands of our citizenry in order to grow. You don't really want to grow really early on harder difficulties because you'll end up having everyone starved unless you're on easy or beginner difficulty, because easier and beginner doesn't allow you to even starve. Harvest time! Go, go, go! And transporters, you better. In fact, I'm going to turn everything off except for agriculture, so that there's nothing that transporters do but haul wheat. Down to 7. No one's even bringing it in time. Alright, that should be the last one, unless this harvest is left to rot. Another thing I could do is just cut down on the amount of fields so that there's less being harvested. What I don't really understand is I'm gonna kill this clay to builder's order. I think what ended up happening in this situation was that my my transporters were... Yeah, so here's what I'll do. I believe that my transporters were too busy hauling not food around, and that penalized me. So I'm going to remove some of the extra fields that I have so that my farmers focus on fewer fields, but will haul to the farming plots. And then I also told my transporters not to bother with mud anymore. So they're only concerned about... In fact, I'll even pause this too. So they're only concerned about hauling the wheat when the harvest is done. The fish market is pretty close to being built. We have most of the mud already hauled out that way. And then these builders have tons and tons and tons of mud. So they should pretty soon... Yeah, they're starting to use it to build the mud walls. So here, the transporters with nothing left to do is moving the wheat from the farming buildings into storage. And we should get a good harvest this time, where like we actually haul it. So, yep, here as you can see with all those bills paused, my transporters are actually hauling the wheat so it doesn't rot. Which is making a significant difference in our wheat amount as we're about to break triple digits again. It wasn't so much that I needed more haulers, is my haulers were just not appropriately being tasked with what they needed to do. At 1,600 wheat, we're fine for the remainder of the year. For sure. Now we have solved the food crisis problem, increase immigration is now my priority. Now that we can feed ourselves, let's do that. So in order to do that, we need a mud temple. So I am going to choose to put the mud temple right here at the entryway of these two gates, just for the aesthetics. And then I'm going to tell this builder here to build nothing but the government buildings and the temple buildings. And I'll put temples up top. So these builders are going to build the mud temple, which will drive up immigration. Whereas these builders are still... where are they? I'm going to fire them all. I don't even know where they were. I selected... Okay, there's no workers available. That's what I thought. Are there builders available for this building too? No. So I think what's going on right now is we have like so few people that that I'm gonna fire some of them so that I can displace them from where they were working into to become builders so that we can actually get some stuff built. Which means reducing the amount of farmers that I have, but I think 30 farmers can manage this amount of fields, no problem. So now I actually have 8 builders, and you'll start to actually see constructions going on. Is my mic going in and out? Or is it just... Because I've had some mic problems recently. All right, here we go. The harvest. And we went down to like 700 or something. So we're looking pretty good on food now. Don't I need donkeys as well? Once I have an abundance of food where I won't possibly have a famine event, I will start buying donkeys. All right, here we go. I just bought, oh, here. I'm going to tell the transporters not to use donkeys, and I'm going to keep them for breeding it instead. So now we have 3 donkeys in our livestock pen, and I'm always going to keep 2 in the pen for breeding at all times. And then I'm going to say, hey, for the remaining transporters, use as many donkeys as you want. So now you can start to see transporters using donkeys to haul crop as well. And now that I have, now that I'm starting to get donkeys, I'm going to allow the transporters to transport everything, not just crop, as I think they'll start to become more efficient. So we're breeding donkeys. So we have 5 donkeys already. Time is going by fast. I'm already on year 7, FYI. So if you're like, oh man, you bought 2 donkeys and you already have 7, it's because like seasons have passed. So the houses that got trashed, once there is a housing need, people will move back in. For me to drive up housing need, I need better food available and religious, religious. So we're working on that. The other thing I can do for food is I will offer my citizens the ability to have their own citizen farms out towards the edge of my territory so they can do their own farming. And if I can fit a fishery... No, I can't fit a fishery there, but that's fine. Alright, now I am going to start to paint additional housing. So I'm going to copy the rotation. Oh. Oops. That's not where I actually wanted it. It doesn't really line up with the walls, but that's fine. Having extra space here is not actually a bit of a penalty. It can provide beauty. Purposefully. So now I have available extra houses, and as I supply the supply and demand for what people want, they can start to move in. Nice. That was a very good Oh, and now we even have a fish market. So with this fish market, the fishmongers will sell wheat for fish in exchange. So their private citizens will fish the rivers, as you can see here. These guys are fishing. And then they sell their fish for wheat in this building here, which will start to provide more food variety for our people and drive up immigration. They really didn't want to build the mud temple. I don't know why. But I'm going to allow them to continue building the mud walls, as that will help with authority, which will increase immigration as well. So once you have a level 1 mud wall, you can select your walls with this wall selection tool and see all of the walls that you have. And you can upgrade your walls from this tool so you don't have to select them one at a time, which is really nice. The mud temple does not have to be in walls. It's the higher level buildings that do, the higher level religious buildings. So if you take a look, the mud temple doesn't have a requirement, which would be over here. The small temple does, as does the big temple and the ziggurat. So this little mud temple could be built anywhere. I'm just not really sure why they're not choosing to build it, but that's fine. They're building the walls, so they're at least doing something. And here is the donkeys, which can pick up multiple haystacks, and therefore they're way more efficient at hauling high volumes of stuff than the individual workers, which can only pick up one bale at a time, which helps to clear the fields. And as you can see, boons our wheat production considerably. Now we're sitting at almost 3,000 wheat. Awesome. Well, now that we have so much food, I'm actually going to, again, reduce the amount of farmers I have so that I can get more builders and try to get more infrastructure built. Because our immigration numbers really aren't budging really at all. And I'm worried that we're kind of already stagnant, which is not great. And for whatever reason, my builders are on a complete... Oh, you know what it is? I know what it is. I'm stupid. I don't have any mud left. Or rather, I don't have transporters that will transport the mud. So what I'm going to do now is unpause these active transport orders. So that on off-season, they help to move mud around and to get mud buildings built. I'm also going to actually get rid of this builder altogether, as I don't need this second building structure anymore. I'm just going to go with the original one. But what was happening there is, there was no mud being transported from the mud pit to the builders, so the builders simply didn't have mud to do any projects. So what they did is the mud that had been delivered to the walls, they built the walls as much as they could, and then they ran out of resources to do any more. But here, with the transporters coming in, mud is being delivered to the builders, and the builders will be able to use that mud. So with that just delivered, I'm going to pause the mud delivery so that my transporters can focus on wheat. But as you can see, there's already some transporters out in the fields because there's enough of them. The other thing that I could do is to set max workers for mud to let's say 3, and then unpause it so that only 3 of my transporters will ever work on mud at a time, meaning that there will be enough of them left for farming tasks. Because what ends up happening is if it's a long travel time, it takes them a long time to do that, which might skip out on the growing harvest season, so that a lot of the wheat that was there ends up getting wasted, which is not something that we want. Where are my builders? This builder's hut is acting really weird. The thing is, I can always fix that. There's only 3 of... Oh, there they are. There we go. So with all of the mud and wheat that I've got, I'm pushing now for city infrastructure projects so we can start to grow again. So we got maybe like a quarter of the walls done. And the gates. There isn't like attackers. I don't know if it's a part of the development plan, but you have like security guards and gates and walls, but they're mostly just for city development and not for like defending against raiders or anything like that. Okay, yeah, the builders are actually building now. Farmers are farming. Food is being bought and sold. So there's a bit of a demand for private workshops and market stalls, but I think a lot of that is as a result of there's no one unemployed to be able to fill those roles. So what we really just need is immigrants to breathe some extra life into the city. So that's what I'm working towards. Steam Source says there's no combat? Yeah. Well, I'm saying that there's no combat, but like that could change. So if I take a look, as you can see, I have like one jobless person who like apparently doesn't want to get hired for anything, but all the other jobs are filled. Now, if I really wanted to, I could destroy the private workers. So if I wanted, like, once we have the temple built, if I need to hire people to work in the temple, I could destroy the fishing wharves and the private fields, and to drive those private workers to the state sector. That's always something that you could do if you're worried about that. Oh, there we go. Oh, all of the mud got delivered. Nice. So this mud temple is going to get built any second now, and that will help tremendously with immigration. So now that it is built, the workers in the mud temple will are paid a bit of paid a salary. You can increase the religious authority of the temple by installing like pottery. And these little arrows out here are immigrants coming in to live in the city. So now that we have a temple up, we have immigrants. So the current priority now is to get 200 population, because 200 population is the necessary threshold in order to start research. So question for you all. What first research? What research to unlock? We could do, I'm going to do irrigation or brick building as initial research options. So you can pick between those two. Pulls up. And see all these arrows? These are all immigrants coming in. There's a lot of them, huh? Immigrants coming in to live here. And what I'm going to do as a result is start to open up more state employment opportunities so that they can work for the state. More or less, I'm opening up farming for them so that I can get more farming done. And now that I actually have more people to work the fields, I can put the farm fields that I had originally deleted because they were inefficiently hauling to stockpiles back, as it's no longer a hindrance to have more fields. Micklemoose, thank you for the resub, man. I did have a pretty decent Thanksgiving. Did a whole lot of cooking. Had a bit of a feast, even though it was just me, my wife, my kid, and my mother-in-law. Small. But sweet. How was your Thanksgiving? Okay, whatever. That's good enough. Let's turn off the immigrant overlay, because I don't need to see crazy tons of arrows pointing to the, yes, people want to live here. I know. I'm also going to open up more people working in the mud temple, and then more workers working in the mud pit, and more workers working in the fish market. And I am now at my maximum state workers. So I have 90 out of 90, and I would need additional tech unlocks to hire more people. So what I could do is I could move the move my state workers around so that the jobs get filled. So I have 89 out of 90. Let's do 90 out of 90. There we go. So I have 90 state workers, which accounts for about 53% of the population. And there's still more jobs in the city, so there's no job list. There's 97 available jobs. And now that people are moving in, as you can see, the ruins are going away. Cities are filling up. Things are good. And I just have to make sure that I keep up food production to match demand. And it looks like you guys want me to unlock irrigation first. Cool. So I've got 20 transporters, 14 of whom have donkeys. I've got 40 farmers for a population of 260. So now the population has hit the threshold I need, right? So let's start a Council of Elders. Council of Elders hires scribes who research. And I'm just going to put them here. I'm going to have 2 Council of Elder buildings to start. Putting them right outside my walls. They don't need to be in the walls. So I'm not going to fill my walls up with Council of Elder buildings. And the priority for this builder is to work on government as a second priority. So these Council of Elders should be built pretty quick. So now the current priority is research, irrigation. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Look at this supply and demand chart now. Quality of life is up. The thing that is not up, though, is water access. So that's going to have to be solved. Now, there's 2 ways to offer people water access. You can either do channels with shadoofs or wells. And I always go for wells because channels, or canals rather, and shadoofs can't, as far as I know, be built through walls. So if you want a walled-in city, you can't use canals. There's no Amsterdam here. In other words. We still have available jobs. But if our job list goes up, one of the advantages of having private farms and fisheries is you can hire people and it scales very nicely. And here's our government buildings. They're coming in. Boom. So you can change the way they look here. So that you can have like one building look different from the other one. So you can have like a governmental complex where they don't all look the same. So there's my Council of Elders. But I don't have any state workers available to actually fill these roles. So I'm going to actually reduce the amount of workers that I have in my mud temple down to like 3. So that, as a direct result, sort of reduces the religious influence, which is now low. But it allows me to start to do research. And you guys wanted me to get irrigation. So I'm going to get irrigation and then hold left shift. I'm also going to then get brick building. So irrigation first for canals. So one way in order to scale up our farms is we can build canals from the river onto the fields to allow us to start to farm further away from the river, which will help to scale up our food production as our city grows. That's going to be how that works. I have 10 out of 10 workers working in the Council of Elders. So once we get brick building, what to research after brick building? So the things that I think are most obvious to unlock would be pottery. Or food preservation. So pottery allows you to make, oops, I didn't mean to click that. Pottery allows you to make clay pots, which can be used for beer. And food preservation, you can have a salt pond where you gather salt, and then you tan the leathers from livestock to make leather, which is useful for security. And then you can use the meat from the livestock to preserve food, which is a different type of food source. So, there you go. Which of those two do we unlock after brick building? Up to you. Stochastic Turtle, thank you for the resub. And up in the top right, it will show you I have 10 scribes, giving me 8 daily science. It takes a certain amount of days, and certain projects have a certain amount of science cost. And this is all scaled depending on difficulty. So again, my science is 2 out of 5. So I've invested to have like not terrible science, in other words, but my soil's a lot better. So I'm getting a lot of good soil. So we did just research canals. And the way these work is you start a canal from the water source, and then you drag the canal inland to be dug out by your builders. And then that will irrigate the areas around it and also can supply water to housing. But as far as I know, like I said before, these canals can't be... They don't go through walls, I don't think. They're not a viable option to offer water for houses, as far as I know. I will try it, though. I am curious. So what I'll do is I'll put a gate here to see if I can't, like, put a canal through a gate. I've never tried it. So I guess we'll find out and see. All right, 1 more minute to vote in that poll. So the other thing I have here is another builder's hut, which will cover this entire length of the canal. And then what I'm hoping to do is farm here, this area, which I will irrigate, farm along the canal's edge. The other thing that we're going to need to pair with that is some canal bridges. So it looks like the foot traffic is mostly here to get to the private farms. So I'm going to put a canal bridge there. And we might want some additional canal bridges as well throughout so that people can get to the other side of the farm. But for starters, what I could do is I could just farm the east side. And then once we need more farms, I could farm the west side. So we don't have to travel westward if we don't need to. You guys want pottery? So I'll queue that up next. And then after pottery, I'll queue up food preservation. So researching clay tablets will give me more state workers, which will allow me to hire more people privately to work for the state. So that could be more builders or more researchers, more scribes, so on and so forth. So the current priority is dig a canal and supply water for the citizens. I'm also entirely unsure why these walls aren't being built just yet, but I'll keep an eye on that. So the other way to supply water, as I explained, now that we have brick building, is wells. I can stick a well kind of in the middle of the town center and supply water around it, which is a lot easier than canals and shadufs. So in order to get that done, we need to do a few things. We need to have a bricklayer. And my brain is apparently can't figure out where that is again. Should it be right here? Clay pits. Oh, I don't have pottery yet. Wait, what? Hold on. Brickyard, brick wall. Yeah, okay. I already unlocked it. And apparently I can't find it. I'm slow today. Oh, yeah, it's right here. So Brickyard produces bricks, which needs mud. So I'm going to set my Brickyard up. I'm going to match the rotation of the mud pit. Then I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees and set them up here. So 2 brickyards next to the mud pit producing bricks. And no one can work there right now because I don't have freed up state workers, but we're researching clay tablets, so I'm about to get 30 extra state workers. And bricks are really, really important. Like, almost everything's built of bricks. Mosaics, temples, walls. Bricks are like the cornerstone of a developing Mesopotamian colony. So, don't sleep on bricks. Things to track. So now that we're starting to produce bricks, I'm going to start tracking bricks. Or not. There it is. Wow. Hey, Moxie. Thank you for the resub. Closer and closer to 4 years? My goodness, yes. All right. Now that I have increased state workers, people are moving into those brickyards. And you just need to make sure that you provide enough mud for the brick layers to be able to do that. The other thing that might be useful is for us to start to get production transporters. So I'm going to build a transporter here, which is going to prioritize production. The other thing to note is, like, if I'm irrigating this area, you know, I'm actually going to delete this canal. Because if I'm putting my production here, it makes more sense to irrigate this side up there. So it won't compete for the same territory. All right. Hey, bud. So food looks good. Starting to produce our first bricks. I am impatiently waiting these last walls to be built. That won't really allow us to answer the can canals be... Here, let me just queue up like a fake canal just to see if it goes through gates. Yeah, as far as I can tell, it doesn't. So what you could do is you could have canals right next to the wall through a gate that have shadufs. Shadufs are built at the side of the canal as like a lever or a, you know, a pulley well bucket thing to provide water, but we don't even need them now. So I'm going to use the first bricks that we have to provide water source for our people. So I'm going to put a well here and a well here. And that should offer high water access for them. So these transporters here are going to have the highest priority of production materials. I also don't mind hiring all 20 of them, because these transporters also overlap with the farm field, so they can also help when there's not a lot of production to be done. They can work the farm fields. You know what? I know why. These transporters don't overlap these walls here, so these walls aren't getting mud delivered. So actually, this last wall here is probably not deliverable, and I'm going to set up one more transporter here as a temporary one, just to deliver the mud for this last wall section, because that's what was going on. So our population has sort of stagnated as a result of working on canals and water supply, which is fine. But we have 5 builders up here starting to dig the canals so that we can irrigate more farming soil, and then we've got these transporters, and I'm going to reduce the amount of transporters I have. I don't need all 10. Reduce these transporters to start hauling mud down to these walls, and then get these transporters built for the same reason. But we're starting to get wells. Can you build a wall over canal? I don't believe so. I think they're mutually exclusive as far as I know. Oh, maybe they're not. Maybe I'm just smooth-brained. It seems like I've been smooth-brained this whole time. No, actually, Huh. Well, I'm going to have you guys decide. How should I supply water to my towns? Wells or shadufs? I think you might be able to build walls over canals, and I just never tried it. But thank you, Barchius, for suggesting that I should try. So I'll have you guys decide. Because I could definitely just, like, bring a canal down and bring the canal in here and put up shadufs. Although I already have wells, but I could destroy the wells. So with these wells, as you can see, water access is high. Very high in some spots, too. I'm also going to do some land beautification. So putting in some parks, and I'll put in like a sphinx looking thing. Oh, here we go. This canal is almost dug. Obviously it doesn't connect to the river. We have to do the left one first, the west one first. But they're working on it. Bricks are... Mud supply and bricks are pretty decent. And the walls to the initial structure are getting constructed. Also looks like the amount of farmers that I have is about right to get all the crop fields sown. And we haven't really had too much of a problem with donkeys for a bit, so that's good too. I'll test again once there's actual water in the canal, yeah. Just to make sure. Just to make sure. But it looks like you guys want wells anyways. But I'll try. I'll see if it's possible just for science. If shadufs work. Alright, we are about to get a walled-in city. Nice. And with the gardens going in, these long gardens, land value is starting to go up as well. Hey, Snoop. Yeah, new game. Welcome. And thank you for the resub. Oh, I'm so eager for these builders to finally finish these walls and for us to get tier 2 housing. So I'm about to get Potter's Wheel, and then we'll also get then units of weight, which will allow more state workers and also allow for doctors. Then after doctors, I am going to go for brewery. Actually, I'm going to do doctors to brewery and then to food preservation. Okay, these transporters are no longer needed because all the mud that needs to be transported to the new walls is done, so I'll fire them. And that should free up some state workers to work elsewhere, like in the Council of Elders for more science. Thank you for tuning in to Sumerians, which originally streamed live on Twitch November 28th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, a link can be found in the description of this video or at Rhadamant.com. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream of another game. Farewell, my fellow Sumerians,